How could you tell if what you're doing for your health is helping you or possibly hindering you? My name's Brian. I've been in the health and wellness world for almost 20 years. I've been coaching pro-metabolic nutrition for close to 10. Today, we're going to talk about how to track the progress of your effort. First off, your health matters. Your health is super important. For those of you that don't know that, welcome to the world. We're going to talk about some of the most important things you can do to make sure that your health is not deteriorating. One particular population of client that works their way towards me, I get a lot of people that by the time they find me, they've tried everything else. They've tried acupuncture, they've tried massage, they've tried PT, they've tried nutritionists, they've tried all sorts of stuff. And so by the time that a friend of a friend of a friend finally says, hey, you know what? I know this weird guy that does weird, cool brain stuff. You should talk to him. They've usually been through the ringer of all sorts of different practitioners doing different things. And the biggest connection that I find with people that have gone that far and not seen progress is that oftentimes things that matter aren't getting measured. If it gets measured, it'll get managed. And if it gets managed, we can look at what you're doing and the progress of what you're doing to figure out if we're making the impact you want. So first off, we want to look for the things that matter to you. Here are 5 of my favorite ways to make sure that what you're doing is helping. Because these 5 things are a huge indicator not just of metabolic function, but of brain function as well. And as we age and as our increased expectations of dementia risk are going to explode over the next 10 to 15 years. That's the prediction. We're going to see a huge explosion of Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's, and other neurodegenerative diseases. We're going to see a huge decline in health. That's the expectation. What if you could see early on that your health was on that trajectory and you drove the bus the other way? You got out of that situation soon enough. We're going to talk about 5 things today that will show you whether or not you're headed in that trajectory or not. Health tip number 1, or I should say health metric number 1. Health metric number 1. Your sleep. Okay, your sleep matters. Your sleep is not just how you end the day. Your sleep is how you start the day. And the quality of your sleep will have a huge ramification on the rest of your day. So if you're missing components of your sleep, either you're having a hard time falling asleep or a hard time waking up, or you wake up often throughout the night, or when you wake up you just don't feel rested, well, those are all things that may matter in terms of your longevity, your long-term health trajectory. So we want to look for the quality of the sleep that you're getting, the quality and the quantity and the after effects thereof. Because if that's something that's impairing you from getting further in your life, we want to look at that. We want to say, maybe there's something there we need to go after. Because if we see that your sleep is a big thing that's holding you back, that might be the thing to focus on. That might be the thing to measure and say, that's a thing to look at and change and go after. So sleep is metric number 1. Metric number 2, we're actually going to look at your body weight. I know there's a lot of people in the health and wellness world right now in a very body positive sense of the world saying, oh, body weight doesn't matter. It might matter. And if it matters to you, if it's a goal that you have, then it definitely matters. So body weight is definitely something that you want to look at because even healthy food can cause somebody to gain weight. Even the best diet in the world, if you overconsume calories, you'll gain weight. And furthermore, if you have a decrement to thyroid function, you'll gain weight. If you have changes in hormone status through pre, peri, and post-menopause, that could change your body weight. So there's a lot of factors that can play into body weight. And you want to be able to keep an eye on those because if you start to see changes either going up or going down in a direction that you don't want, that could be telling you a huge story about your current state of hormone function. Metric number 3. We want to look at what people call your pulse and temp. what your pulse and temp basically means is we're looking at your heart rate and we're looking at body temperature. When looked at together, both of those numbers can give you a pretty good insight into your current metabolic state. And not only that, your metabolic state at that moment, because your metabolic state can fluctuate throughout the day. Your thyroid hormone output can change very, very quickly. And so depending on stress, depending on sleep, depending on caloric intake, you could have a pulse and temp that indicates one way or another, are you in a currently healthy metabolic state? One of the best measurements you can use with pulse and temp is looking for your waking pulse and temperature. Your waking pulse and temperature will give you a good overarching picture of your metabolic health, because as you wake up, your pulse and temp is going to be at the lowest point of the day. And so when you see that number that's not influenced by movement, that's not influenced by food, that's not influenced by exercise or stress or daily activities, you're lying in bed, you roll over, you grab your thermometer, you can check your pulse on your neck, you can put a pulse oximeter on. You're looking for about 70 to 90 beats per minute on the pulse, and you're looking for a temperature that's around 97.8 up to 98.2. Now that's a small range, but the overall theme that I want you to keep in mind is even if you're not in those ranges, are you moving closer to them? Are you improving your metabolic status, your overall health, and is that reflected then in your waking pulse and temp? Is the trend moving where you want it to go? And if it is, awesome. And if it's not, well, we want to address that early on so that you don't realize 20, 30, 40 years later that you should have done more about your metabolic function when you could. So big deal there with pulse and temp, and it's a great canary in the coal mine. The fourth one we're going to talk about, libido. Overall libido, overall sexual drive, sexual function is a huge measure of your health. If we think in terms of overall health and wellness on a biological level, the goal of any species is to perpetuate the species. The goal of life is to make more life. And if your reproductive health is pointing in a direction that your body is incapable of creating and perpetuating life, that's a strong signal that your system is not viewing you or the world as an environment that's suitable for reproductive health. Bringing a baby into a stressful situation is a surefire way to rob the mother of nutrition or harm the baby, and your body will fight against that. It'll fight against your sex drive. It'll fight against your menstrual regularity. It'll fight against all sorts of things that will basically denote viability on a biological level. So if you're seeing disruptions in metabolic function, you're probably going to see disruptions in sex drive as well. So, and that goes for men as well. Men will also have a hard time getting an erection. Men will have a hard time actually having sexual drive. That's all indicative of your current metabolic and hormonal state. So if you're seeing a suppression of your libido, that is a strong signal that your health is not moving in the direction you want it to. It's a strong signal that we want to improve and go after to make sure that you're as healthy as possible, to live the best life possible for as long as possible. And if we're seeing that suffer, we might have a problem. And the fifth thing to go after, this is probably one of the most important things to me because my family is rife with neurodegenerative diseases. I have memory issues in my family. So for me, I'm constantly looking at my capacity to recall words and sentences. I'm constantly looking at my ability to recall names, to remember places, to remember stuff. Because to me, losing the ability to remember things is a sign that my brain health is not doing the job I want it to. And if that's one of the hallmarks of the neurodegenerative diseases that run in my family, I want to make sure that I'm not headed down that pathway too soon, that I can do things to preempt going that route. I can be healthier, I can get better sleep, I can work on my movement, I can work on my breath work, I can do all the things health-wise to see that my memory stays sharp. And if for any reason I see my memory one day start to deteriorate, I have a hard time remembering a name, or I have a hard time remembering a shopping list, or I go to the grocery store, oh, what did I need to pick up? That's all going to be a clue to me that I need to do more work. I need to fix that. I need to make sure that I'm improving my health. And if I see my memory getting better, I know that I'm doing the right things. There's a ton of stuff that you can go after. These are just some of the big ones that I want to share with you today. Hopefully you found this helpful. Thank you for sticking around. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you soon.